Hey guys, welcome back to another self-isolating video. Today we got Sam Lee back on the channel. It's wonderful to have him back into the Manchester City world. We're going to talk about an absolute load of things basically from your questions on Twitter. But before we get into all that, I want to say thank you once again to The Athletic for partnering with my channel at this very desperate time, for being totally honest. It's the new home of football writing with all the best coverage of Manchester City that you'll find anywhere, from obviously Mr. Sam Lee, who's back with us now. And also it's got a world-class team of writers like David Ornstein, Michael Cox, Jack Brooks, Rafa Honigstein, and many, many more. You can get 50% off your subscription now at theathletic.co.uk/Esteemed Kompany. You can get a 7-day free trial, and it's absolutely fantastic. And we've got Sam with us. Sam, welcome back, mate. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah,
have you missed it?
No,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's all right. I'm back in. I feel like I'm back in the groove now. I spent the morning watching, about 10 years worth of Kevin De Bruyne assists. So yeah, I feel like I'm back in the groove now.
I mean, I bet you didn't expect this to happen when you disappeared for a month or so. I mean, congratulations by the way as well. Congratulations on your little bouncy boy. Lovely news. Genuinely needed that news at the moment, so it's lovely to hear.
Yeah, thanks very much. He's been great. We've been really lucky. Now, obviously, the situation in the world is what it is, and it's awful.
How are you anyway?
Personally, I think we're very lucky. Because he came at the right time. You know, if he'd come any later, we'd have all the worries about going into hospitals. And if he'd been any earlier, then, you need to, try and fight off everyone else for formula or whatever. So he's perfect. He's come at the right time. We're fine. I've been working at home for 8 years. It's fine for me. I think we feel very lucky, and it's weird being back at work. I still don't know what people want to read, what people want to talk about, but kind of the analytics at work suggest that all the best stuff on The Athletic is the stuff that is kind of carry on as normal, especially with the NFL stuff. It's the draft and free agency period, so I think people just want to carry on, as normal as possible. So that's kind of what I'm going to try and do being back. But yeah, it's a bit weird, but it's good. It's good to be back, I suppose.
So we're going to talk about agendas then, as normal then.
Yeah, I had a quick flip through some of the questions, and I saw one of those. I didn't even know if that. Normally, there's a joke about the agenda. That seemed serious, but I don't know. We'll see if we get to that.
I do love the idea that despite all this going on at the moment, some people are still banging that drum, and they're like, fair. I've kind of admired that persistence, but at the same time, thinking, really, you got nothing better to do. But
I've got to be honest with you. I didn't look at Twitter for about 3 weeks while I was off, but the same as everyone else. Everyone's got their own worries about the world and that, and it just seemed that you're going on Twitter and everyone else was kind of projecting their worries and fears, and I thought this isn't kind of a healthy space to be. So I've missed all of the.
You probably missed the worst of it, I reckon, which you probably kind of got lucky with that in terms of not the worst of it, but I mean the initial confusion. I would say online. I feel like it's calmed down a little bit. I mean, I handled it terribly. I was shitting it for my parents, and I still am. But I think that's normal. But it felt like everyone was doing the same thing, and then
exactly that's the thing. You've got your own issues, but then you start seeing everyone else's and their theories and all this kind of thing. It wasn't healthy, and to be honest, I'm still not on Twitter too much. But as I said yesterday when I returned, kind of said, look, if I'm tweeting about football, it's because I'm like anyone else. I'm still lucky enough to be able to work from home. This is my job. I do need to say, look at this article about this, and I hope it's not just helping me. I hope it is helping other people as well. But if people aren't on Twitter, or if people aren't reading about football at the moment, then completely fair enough. But hopefully if they are, then hopefully I'll be able to.
This is helping me personally, so thank you already. So it's nice to talk about something away from it. Should we start with the most recent article then about City's hopes for the CAS appeal to actually go ahead? Do you think this is actually going to happen, and why is this so important for Manchester City?
I do think it will happen, because it's not the case that City have said, oh, let's do it by video because we really want to get it done. It's CAS who have suggested it recently that a lot of their hearings, they're not doing any in-person hearings until May at the earliest, but that may change. And they've said, if there's no witnesses, if you're not calling on any witnesses for your case, then maybe don't have a video conference at all. Just do it on the written submissions. And the interesting thing is with City, I've spoken to a couple of people and like lawyers in terms of the precedent. They're not sure if City would actually call on any witnesses anyway. They think it would be more about, UEFA have done it this way, or there's this like abusive process, or these are leaked, or these are hacked emails or whatever. So it may not be done on witnesses. So judging by what CAS have said, CAS might even say, well, you're not going to have a video a video conference, you can just do it on the written submissions. But City might make a petition to say, we actually do want a proper hearing to make our submissions in person, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then if UEFA don't agree, then CAS would maybe have to do a ruling as well. So it could be pretty complicated. But yeah, basically, in theory, CAS are open to doing, to hearing the appeals on video link, pretty much like this, I suppose. I suppose they were using Zoom like everybody else is at the moment.
Virtual backgrounds going.
Yeah. And in theory, I suppose, it would be conducted as normal. And why it's important for City, somebody on the article yesterday said this shouldn't have precedence, this shouldn't happen before football comes back, and this isn't important at all. City should, take their punishment or whatever. But I think that's irrelevant because, organising a video call like this, it's obviously difficult for a CAS hearing, but it's much easier to do that than get, 22 footballers on a pitch and all the subs and all the coaches and all the cameramen and everything. That's very difficult to do. It's much easier to do a video conference. And your question about, how important is it for City? As much as that, how important is it for everyone else? So, Sheffield United, Man United, Chelsea, Spurs, all these teams that could finish fifth, they're going to want an outcome the same as anybody else. And obviously there was that story while I was away about 8 top half Premier League clubs saying they didn't want City to stay. It looks like City don't even want to stay either. City don't want to say, put us in the Champions League while we get this sorted. They want to get it sorted straight away. So, it's pretty important for City to get, clarity. It's important for the fans. It's important for people, not a fan, who's loosely related to it. And it's important for all the other clubs as well.
So on that front, the question was more linked to, is it, I'm just kind of guessing here, but the importance to City, do you think there's any chance it's because they need to reassure? Obviously have to reassure players, of course, but do you think they have to reassure from a basis of concern, if that makes sense? Because I've got a feeling this whole thing is going to change the mentality of a lot of players, because they're going to start looking quite into themselves a little bit. I guess they've got a lot of time to do that. They're all sat at home with their families. I'm wondering, are there any signs of unrest that you know of? Because obviously, it'd be understandable if so, given the fear of not being involved in the Champions League. These players are going to lose 6 to 10 to maybe longer of their career, in terms of months. So I'm wondering if the players are starting to think, well, I'm going to lose a lot of time here. And it could be also another bit of time on top of being out of the Champions League.
Well, the thing is, I think perversely it's gone the other way. And I've got to say, I don't know much has happened over the last month because I've just been out of it. I'm trying to catch up again now. But, what I would say is, at first, there was a lot of articles around about, at first, when the punishment was announced and everybody was speculating what might happen then. It was a very weird period because it was basically like, well, we don't know. It might get overturned. And everybody was speculating in terms of players who might want to leave or whether they would stay. Obviously it depends on each individual as well, but it was obviously a very confusing time and the players would have been thinking more about it then. But it still would have been, well, we don't know, City, the players would have been thinking, well, our bosses keep telling us they've done nothing wrong and it's going to be overturned. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But maybe if we're going to be banned from the Champions League, we'll get our agents to look at it. And, I think a couple of players were maybe thinking along those lines. A couple of other players were thinking they would stay. Obviously, Sterling's agent said he would be staying. That was kind of interesting. So there was that element of it, but it was still kind of unknown. But now what I would say is the whole world's unknown. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Like De Bruyne did that the Instagram live the other day and said, look, he's going to play for an extra 2 years now because he's missing football so much. And, maybe that's just a heat of the moment thing, but that's how players are feeling. This is very unusual for them.
Yeah, you want more of what you know, don't you? You want more of everything again.
Obviously, everybody, we all want normality. We all want to be able to do this in the same room. We want to be able to go and have lunch or just whatever, normal things. And footballers are obviously no different, but they're so used to, their lives are even more weirder than ours.
Yeah, their routine.
They're so close to that group. You always hear about the relationships in dressing rooms and whatever. And obviously, their life depends on going out and exercising and being outdoors and doing very specific football things that they can go to the gym and do, but it's not the same. So they're all kind of so up in the air about it. I think the immediate concern of City players and every footballer is when can they go and play football again? Because that's more or less, obviously, their husbands, their fathers, but that's pretty much all they know, playing football. So I think their immediate focus is going to be on that and thinking, is it going to be June? Is it going to be September? What's going on with that? Well, David Silva, for example, what's going on with his contract? Is his contract going to end at the end of June? Is the season going to start in July? Could he play if City get to the Champions League quarterfinals and they're in July? Would he be able to play? All of this kind of thing. I think they'll be thinking of that more than the FFP thing, because in terms of the unknown, the whole coronavirus thing is a million times bigger than FFP. So once the virus thing is sorted and the situation's back to normal, maybe then they'll be like, oh yeah, and this. But, that might, like I said earlier, they might be able to do a CAS hearing before football comes back.
Yeah.
And everything might be resolved at the same time. So, but I think for now, they won't be thinking about that too much.
This is just very much your opinion kind of thing, or maybe, this could be based on something. But do you think there's a cut-off deadline for this season? Do you think there's a date?
Yeah, I really do.
Do you? So what do you believe that to be? Because, obviously, the money's a big part of it. We're talking £750 million apparently that the Premier League are worried about in terms of TV revenue. Or they're basically that they may owe that back to the TV companies if it doesn't go through. So money's obviously always going to be the motivator here. But do you think there is a point where it's like, well, we just can't make this happen. We need to move on from things.
Yeah, well, I think obviously the other part of the article was, on this City conference call, they had the latest positions from the Premier League and UEFA regarding the Champions League. So the Premier League plans at the moment, which are likely to change in my opinion, is to have the Premier League start again in June, play it in June, 2 or 3 games a week. I've just started Siri on my computer there, get rid of that. To have the Premier League in June, 2 or 3 games a week, get that done. Champions League in July, and then the final on August the 8th. That's kind of the latest position of those governing bodies. I don't know, I think maybe you get towards May and you think, I suppose you need to look at the health situation in the UK. Yeah. Have they flattened the curve? Have they not? I keep seeing different things every day. I have no idea, obviously. It's very difficult to know which way it's going to go. Obviously, in the next few weeks, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Hopefully, it does start to get better as soon as possible. But then if it gets to May and they think this isn't possible, and then it starts to get into June, what would the cut-off point be? I reckon probably by June the 1st, if there was no movement, they would probably have to make the decision of not scrapping the season because, like you said, all the TV requirements and all the money side of it, they might think, are we going to push back next season? And I think that could actually work, because with the World Cup, I know Rooney said it the other week, but with the World Cup being in November, December anyway, they could theoretically push back next season until December if they needed to, start then, and then it would give them more time. But I reckon around June time, if they can't get the season started again, they'll probably think, right, we're either going to have to knock it on the head or we're going to just push back everything else and keep going. And that seems to be what UEFA are pushing for at the moment. They're not very happy with Belgium for scrapping their league. I don't think they're going to be able to do it in June. I just don't think it's going to be feasible.
No, do I.
The thing is, there's all these things about, we'll be on lockdown for a certain period and then people will be able to go back to life as a bit more normal. But, what's normal? How the virus will still be around, most likely. How can you do social distancing like you can at supermarkets at St. Peter's Square? When you're waiting for the tram at 5 o'clock, when you're on the tram for work, if people are allowed to go back to work, they're coming into contact with each other. Or they're traveling. Were people going to be going back to bars and restaurants? What kind of normal is that going to look like? And then if you've got that, can they have normal with the Premier League? I know there was that story last week about the World Cup bases idea where they kind of stay in quarantine. But then, if there's one cameraman who gets it,
exactly,
or one medic who gets it, or I don't know, are they going to let journalists into the stadium? I mean, they probably shouldn't, but if they did and I got it, then if one person gets it, I just don't think it's feasible to get it started in June. I don't think you can do social distancing properly. I think they're going to have to be very strict. When it's not lockdown, I think it's going to have to be very similar to what lockdown actually is. Otherwise, it's going to get worse again. Or there's just going to be another 3 months of lockdown from like August to October.
And
obviously, I'm not the chief medical officer. But.
Well, that's the thing is, a lot of people are probably, when they say this behind the closed door thing, it's not football isn't behind closed doors because there's going to be about 100 people involved on a game day anyway, isn't there? There's going to be, there's going to be squads of players, there's going to be physios and all that kind of stuff. And who knows even if they'll have even the resources for the physios, and who knows where, apparently the London Mayor was writing to Premier League clubs asking if they could borrow some, any medically trained staff and things like that. So are they even going to be available? So it's a clusterfuck basically, and no one knows. And I think that's fair.
I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong. I just don't see it happening.
That's one thing I think people are struggling to. A lot of people are struggling to accept. I think it's also fair that they don't know what to do. Who does know what to do right now? It's crazy, isn't it? Like the Premier League, and obviously they can look a little bit crass, kind of thrashing around for resolutions, but. I think
you've got a plan because
exactly.
If life can return to a lot like normal in June, then put the football back on. Absolutely fine. You've got to have the plans. You can't just wait until May and go, oh shit, we need to sort of league out.
Exactly, yeah.
It's absolutely fine to do it, but it's just, I think everybody knows on those calls, and there's another conference call with the Premier League today. I think everybody knows it's likely to change, or at least it could change, and it might be cancelled again. But you've got to have the plans in place. That just makes sense.
So what's just I won't mention Mr. Leroy Sané because I know you're tired of hearing about that. But
not really.
Actually,
not so much that. It's just I'm just trying to work out. Do people still care? Is that important?
One thing I was going to say around
recovery, but I think
around transfers actually is. Will this change the transfer market in your opinion? And also, is that kind of dead right now? Like, for example, I know it technically is dead, but I mean, are clubs thinking, well, we just have to wait until we see how this comes out because we all could be a lot more skint than we were, and maybe agents just aren't working right now. I mean, do you think there's anything in the transfer market? Is it just, has it died a death currently?
Well, I mean, in the same vein of, the Premier League and UEFA and all the other leagues coming up with plans to get their leagues going, it makes sense to, make those plans. And if City were going to, obviously City were going to sign a lot of players. So it makes sense for them to still have these conversations, still, have the conversations with the players, maybe with the clubs, because it might go back to normal and they might be able to go, okay, well, we'll sign him. But again, we don't know. I mean, there might be a whole massive impact on market value. Clubs, obviously clubs are now docking their players' wages to give to other staff. That shows how kind of financially flaky a lot of clubs are. If a club like Bayern Munich has to do it, you would think, wow. So, are clubs going to have 150 million to spend, or will that just be completely gone? Will that just be completely used up and absorbed by paying off other staff or paying off the players or whatever? So the market might be completely different. And then, I don't know, if say, one of this just comes to mind because one of the rumours I saw, and it was weird seeing rumours a few weeks ago on Twitter about Juventus want Gabriel Jesus. So I was like, well, like that, or AC Milan want David Silva, and it's like, why is anyone even thinking about this now? Like, it's so weird, and especially Milan, it's like the Lombardy region. Like, if you're trying to convince David Silva at the moment to think about his future, to go to like one of the epicenters of it, you just think that it's just really, really.
And I hate to sound like, especially David Silva's personal circumstances. He had a very public battle for the life of his child, like only a year and a bit ago. So, of course, I mean, this almost seems like such a crass link, doesn't it, given everything going on at the moment? You start to wonder.
But I mean, maybe AC Milan do want to do it, but it's just a weird thing. You think, what a weird way to convince somebody. Because, like, look, if they do relax these measures in June, from your point of view, from my point of view, would I go on holiday? No, I was planning to go to Barcelona in August. We didn't book it, but like if they say in August, oh yeah, you can go and travel again, I'm not going to go and fly somewhere. Like, no way. Would David Silva or anybody else make a decision on their future now? And then the other side of it is, I suppose, going back to Sané and Bayern, since it's come up, if Bayern Munich are, docking their staff some pay, albeit not as much as Atletico Madrid, I don't think, but if they're not that kind of stable with their income anymore, are they going to want to spend 80 million, 100 million on a new winger? That might not be feasible whatsoever. So the whole transfer market, I think, is completely up in the air. I'm not sure anybody knows what's going to happen. I think it's exactly the same as, like we said, rescheduling the leagues. I think you need to have the conversations, and you may be speaking to the agents and the players they want to buy, and like, okay, well, we're still interested, but we need to see. Because if, say, for argument's sake, they were going to spend 85 million on a centre-back, maybe that 85 million doesn't exist anymore. Maybe the budgets are completely shot. So they're saying, okay, we still want to buy you, but we just need to wait and see. Maybe they're saying to the club, we still want to buy this guy, but we need to wait and see. And maybe there won't be any transfers because maybe clubs go, well,
do you think they'll feel awkward? Yeah, do you think they'll feel awkward given the current, given the crisis around the world, and they're throwing £100 million, maybe? Because it looks
but there's not so much introspection in football. But I think what would probably be the most likely thing is, say for argument's sake, United were going to spend 120 million on Sancho, and Dortmund were going to do that. But now United don't have 120 million to spend because the money's gone, and all they can afford is 60 million. And now there is no fair market value anymore, because what market value has always been what a club has been willing to pay. But what if United, or the maximum anyone can spend on Sancho is, argument's sake, Real Madrid have got 65 million. That's as high as they can go. Dortmund aren't going to sell Sancho for 65 million. What's the point? You wait a year to see if the market comes back. So there might not actually be much movement in the market at all. I mean, there's probably there will be a load of things I've not thought of. But I think in terms of those big transfers, I'm not sure the clubs are going to have the big money to spend. And if they haven't got it to spend and the club's selling, they're not going to want to sell. So I think it's going to be a weird market whenever that returns.
It's for a short term, a while. It feels like it will change football, doesn't it? I mean, how can it not change? I guess it's going to change everything, which is going to be weird. What I think it could change financial fair play. I mean, we've seen the laxing, basically they're kind of like almost pausing it. Do you think is financial fair play going to change from this? Do you think it could be potentially dead in the water after this? Maybe.
No, I think there's two elements to it. I spoke to a lawyer yesterday just to put it in layman's terms to kind of explain exactly what it is. So there's two elements to financial fair play broadly.
Yeah.
Or at least as far as this is concerned anyway. There's the break-even rule, which means you can't make massive losses. So they haven't suspended that. So it's not like City or whoever could say, oh, there's no FFP for a year. We'll go and buy Mbappe and I was going to say Ronaldinho then. I've gone mad. But like Real Madrid couldn't say we're going to buy Mbappe and Kevin De Bruyne and Pogba. And just because that element of financial fair play is still there. You've still got to do the break-even where, you don't make massive losses. The other side of it, which has been suspended, is, what's it called now? But basically, it's like the future viability of a company. So some clubs have been banned from the Champions League in the past for being overdue on payments. So if they've not paid their players on time or they're not paid staff on time, financial fair play can say, well, you're not allowed in the Champions League until you do that. Obviously, there could be a lot of clubs now who can't pay their staff. So that's the bit they suspended. So it's more the future financial viability. If clubs put in their books and say, we haven't got enough money to pay our staff, UEFA aren't going to say, well, you're banned from the Champions League then. They're going to say, well, fair enough, because this is mad. And, you've got this season, there's leeway. And I guess, because that's just for next season, 2021, whenever that starts. So after that, they might say, okay, we need to start bringing it back. Or they might relax it again into the season after, just so, clubs can start getting it back in. But no, I don't think it's all going to collapse because clubs have still got to break even. They can't go and spend a load of money. What might make it collapse is what happens with City at CAS. But that's
that's a different ball game altogether, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
The final question: how many nights sleep have you had since your little one arrived?
I kind of put the commentator's curse on it yesterday because I said to my wife, I was like, obviously, when you're about to have a kid, everyone always says, "Oh, catch up on your sleep now," and all this, and get your sleep in now. And we haven't slept through 6 or 7 hours in the month, but it's been fine. And I said to her yesterday, I was like, how do you feel about sleep? Because I actually feel all right. And then it was a commentator's curse because last night when he woke up at 3-ish, I gave him a bottle. He didn't go back to sleep until 6. So that's just the whole hole in the end. So that's when the sleep's pretty deprived. I mean, look at the bags and demands, but generally it's been fine.
That's lovely to hear.
He's been great. He's all right.
I've lost the question now, but someone else said something like, "Why Leo, not Sergio?" So I'm going to guess it's a football those things.
It's not a football thing. It's I don't know what's going to happen if we have another boy in future. There was only one name in the world that me or my wife would even consider it. It was just Leo. We desperately looked. There's loads of apps for baby names, but nothing felt right. It was just Leo. I would say it's a happy coincidence. He's not named after Messi, but if
greatest of all time,
think
so
that, then
it's not bad. It's not
nice,
bad.
But it's not like But I don't know. It's just a nice name. But in terms of football, in fact, there's other names that you think that's too football-y. What was it? Oh yeah, my wife, she liked Emerson for a while, and I was like,
that's one of my Nicholas names on our list. That's on our list. Yeah, we liked Emerson.
For me, it's like, well, that is just the Chelsea left back, and he's not even that good.
Yeah, we've got
for me, it's like that is too football-y a name.
Weirdly, I thought of the ex-Middlesbrough player from the 90s. You remember him?
Yeah, and him as well.
But I just like Emerson for some reason. I've got a lot of names with Sunny, like Jackson. My surname McInerney is a nightmare, for surnames.
Leo's middle name is Hudson, so that's kind of really,
that's pretty cool. That sounds
middle names aren't that important, really. I would have done without it. But
Leo Hudson sounds like a pop star name. It's quite cool, that like a really good one though. Like just some guy from across the Atlantic or something. But anyway, Sam, thanks for joining me. It's been refreshing, and congratulations once again. And guys, obviously, I'll get Sam back as much as possible because we're all going crazy during this time. It's good to have some football talk.
It's nice to speak to somebody else.
It is, isn't it? It's really nice, yeah. theathletic.co.uk/Esteemed Kompany for your 50% off and a 7-day free trial for loads of wonderful football news, not just Manchester City news. So go and check it out in the link below. Guys, thank you very much. Say thank you. Congratulations to Sam, of course, everyone. And we'll see you next time.